The sharp, rhythmic beeping of the luggage scanners mixed with the low hum of early morning chatter, basically the soundtrack of every airport I've ever hated. I stood in the TSA pre-check line with my earbuds in, gripping my boarding pass like it was some kind of survival tool. It was 5:47 a.m. My flight wasn't for another 2 hours. But I was already drained from the long drive that got me here. That's when I saw her. A few people ahead. She stood with her hair styled so perfectly it looked like she woke up inside a salon. She clutched a shopping tote against her side as if she were hauling around the crown jewels. But it wasn't the hair or the bag that caught my attention. It was the way she kept darting glances over her shoulder, almost challenging anyone to acknowledge her. Then it hit me. She wasn't in the line. She was stalking it, targeting it, watching it the way a hawk watches a field mouse. "Excuse me," she announced loudly, though no one had asked. "This line is moving far too slowly. People like me shouldn't have to wait." Normally, I would have just sighed, rolled my eyes, and pretended the moment didn't exist. But her voice cut through the airport noise like a foghorn. She began inching forward, wiggling between passengers with surgical precision, weaving through the line as if TSA procedures were optional suggestions. I watched her reach the rope divider, the flimsy, almost cartoonish barrier TSA uses to organize chaos, and then she went for it. She leaned over it, fully prepared to slice through the line like she was royalty. A security officer nearby shot her a polite warning look. She flicked her hand dismissively, like he was a pesky fly buzzing near her latte. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. "People don't understand urgency." Her energy was the kind that makes you want to laugh and cry at the same time. I shifted in my spot, silently begging the universe for anyone to intervene before everything blew up. And then she turned to me. Her eyes were wide, sharp, almost vibrating with entitlement. "Excuse me," she said. "I'm in a hurry, and this line is clearly moving at a snail's pace. Can't you let me through?" Before I even had time to form a sentence, a TSA agent materialized out of thin air, stepping in front of her like a human wall. She froze, likely believing she could charm her way past him. That's when things got interesting. His posture was calm, maddeningly patient, but there was tension in the air, a tightening coil. He looked her up and down, hands planted on his hips, as if assessing just how much nonsense he could handle before shutting it down. "You can't cut the line," he said steadily. "Please step back and wait your turn." Her eyes widened, her lips stretched into a thin, offended line, but her voice poured out smooth and rehearsed. "I don't think you understand. I have a very important meeting. I matter. My time is valuable." I had to bite my cheek to keep from bursting out laughing. The way she said it, as if the fate of the free world hinged on her skipping 3 people, was both absurd and disturbingly sincere. But the agent didn't budge. "Ma'am, we treat everyone the same. You will wait like everyone else." And that's when I noticed her tote dot. It wasn't just a bag. It was stuffed to capacity, bulging at odd angles. And she kept patting it with this anxious, almost secretive touch, like she had the nuclear football tucked in there. "This is absurd," she muttered. "I've flown hundreds of times, and never." The agent cut her off. "Step aside, ma'am. Attempt to bypass the line again, and we will escort you." Her nostrils flared. Her lips quivered. Her jaw twitched like she was weighing whether to scream, cry, or file a lawsuit. Then she leaned in, her words practically hissing. "You don't understand who I am. You think you can stop me?" The words were ridiculous, but the tension was thick enough to slice. The passengers around us fell into a collective silence, some whispering, some staring openly, some pretending they weren't watching the most entertaining thing that had happened at 6 a.m. Then came the moment that made everyone wince. She bent down, grabbed the rope divider, and yanked it hard enough to make the entire thing wobble. The agent stepped forward, his voice dropping a tone. "Ma'am, stop." And just like that, the morning went from mildly irritating to dangerously chaotic. I froze. I had no idea how TSA was supposed to handle someone who treated airport security like a suggestion box. And then, because apparently she hadn't reached peak boldness, she pushed it even further. For a moment, everything seemed to slow. One hand gripped the rope divider, her eyes flickering between the agent and the long line behind her. She took a step as if pure confidence would somehow override federal procedure. "Excuse me," I said before I could stop myself. "Move," she barked, her voice slapping the tile floors and bouncing off every wall. The agent stayed steady. "Ma'am, I'm asking you one last time. Step back." Her disbelief twisted her features. The kind of expression people make when reality contradicts their worldview. Then she did it. She tried to squeeze past him, shoulder brushing his chest, body angled in a desperate attempt to assert dominance. And that's when the universe intervened. There was a loud metallic crash. Her tote hit the ground. Papers flew out. A half-empty water bottle rolled across the floor. Oversized reading glasses skittered away like panicked insects. She gasped and bent down, scrambling. "Oh my God, this is ridiculous. I have places to be." The agent didn't move. He just sighed and signaled for backup. His jaw tightened, his shoulders squared clearly. He'd been through this rodeo before. Within seconds, 2 more officers approached, firm as they blocked her path. "You need to stop," one said, his voice calm but final, "or we'll escort you." Her lips trembled. The gears in her brain were visibly grinding. She opened her mouth, likely to unleash a speech she had rehearsed her entire life, but something about 3 TSA agents and a crowd of judgmental travelers must have short-circuited her. And then she sealed her own fate. She pointed at me, not casually, not vaguely, full dramatic accusation. You saw this. Why didn't you stop them? Someone has to stand up for me." I froze. Should I laugh? Sympathize? Pretend I didn't exist? The absurdity of it all, the entitlement, the theatrics, the chaos was unreal. Phones came out. People filmed. Others stared. The agent turned to me, expression unreadable. "Sir? Ma'am, I just witnessed." I stammered, instantly regretting every word. She huffed so loudly it made the line collectively wince. Then she tried one more tactic, a long, whining, melodramatic rant that made even the seasoned travelers cringe. That's when the TSA agent smiled. Barely, but enough. It was the smile of a man who knew exactly what came next and knew she wasn't going to like it. "Ma'am," he said calmly, "since you insist on testing the rules, we're going to walk through the entire process together, step by step." Her eyes narrowed, her lips tightened. She looked like someone had told her gravity was optional. "Walk through the process? I don't need a process. I fly all the time." "Exactly," he replied, "so you should know it. Empty your bag. Remove electronics and liquids. Shoes off. Follow the belt." Her hands flew up like he'd asked her to donate a kidney. "I'm not taking off my shoes. I paid for a seat. This is humiliating." The words shot out of her with the force of a firecracker. I stood behind her, shifting awkwardly, glancing at the line. People were filming openly now, some whispering, some smirking, some clearly enjoying the morning entertainment. The rhythmic beeping of the scanner suddenly felt like a drum roll announcing the next round of chaos. One officer nodded to another, and together they guided her gently but undeniably firmly toward the screening area. She resisted, of course, scrambling over the conveyor belt like a toddler refusing bedtime, but the agent's tone remained steady, patient, and authoritative. "Ma'am, step into the scanner. If you refuse, we'll have to clear the area and remove you." Her face flushed red, part fury, part mortification. She muttered under her breath, "This is absurd. Nobody treats me like this," and a handful of other phrases that sounded like threats, whispered to the universe. Then she did something that made the entire line gasp. She stomped onto the scanner like she was stepping onto a Broadway stage, dragging her tote along the floor. Papers, receipts, and loose items spilled out in a messy spray. The scanner beeped instantly, sharp, loud, unforgiving. She froze. The officer raised an eyebrow and gestured toward the monitor. "Ma'am, your bag triggered the scanner. Every item needs to be inspected." Her jaw fell open. "Inspected? Now? Here? People are watching." "Yes," the officer replied, and I could swear I heard a note of restrained amusement. "And everyone will see that the rules apply to everyone." She began unloading her tote like she was emptying a junk drawer. Lipstick tubes, Old receipts, half-eaten granola bars, tangled sunglasses, random trinkets. Items clattered and rolled, and each time she lifted something, the agent asked in that maddeningly polite tone, "What's this? Is this liquid? Does this exceed size limits?" The humiliation was thick enough to taste. There was a rhythm to it, an almost cinematic tension that pulled everyone forward. Even I, despite trying to avert my eyes, couldn't stop watching. Finally, after an eternity of clattering and clunking, the last item, a suspiciously large glittering thermos, hit the tray. The agent's face stayed neutral, but I swear I saw the faintest smirk. She stepped aside, chest rising and falling in uneven bursts, eyes blazing with the anger of someone whose world had stopped obeying her. And then the agent delivered the blow that froze her mid-breath. "Ma'am," he said crisply, "you attempted to bypass the security line. That's not just frowned upon. It's a violation of TSA procedures. I'm issuing a formal warning." Her complexion drained to a pale gray, not because of the rules, she clearly didn't care about those, but because reality had finally caught up. She inhaled sharply, preparing to unleash some kind of legal monologue. But the officer didn't give her the chance. "You're lucky this isn't an arrestable offense. If you attempt to cut the line again, you will be removed and possibly banned from this airport." Her hand shot out again, trembling with indignation as she pointed at me like a prosecutor naming a suspect. "He should have stopped them. Why didn't anyone stop them?" The officer sighed, shook his head, and gestured to the audience forming behind us, phones raised, cameras recording. Commentary whispered. "Ma'am," he said, "no one needs to intervene. You created this scene yourself." Heat rushed up my neck. I wanted to disappear. The embarrassment, the tension, the absurdity, it was overwhelming. A young man behind her struggled not to laugh. A woman murmured, "Unbelievable. Some people really think rules don't apply to them." Her hands flung wildly now, part outrage, part denial. "This is ridiculous. People just don't understand. I am an important person." The officers remained unshaken, calm, steady, professional. One stepped closer and, with a firm but respectful hand, began guiding her toward the exit of the screening area. Her steps were exaggerated, dramatic, like an entitled slow-motion collapse. Her tote half empty and dragging pitifully thumped the floor every few feet. And then came the best part. The agent began addressing all of us, the passengers who had endured her chaos. He confirmed she did, in fact, cut the line. He confirmed the warning was official, and he confirmed that the recording was permitted for accountability. Her face turned a shade of crimson. I didn't know was possible. Her mouth opened and closed, fish-like, as she sputtered, "This is unfair. I'm going to call someone. My lawyer." The agent barely blinked. "We'll be sure to take note. For now, please exit the security area." The fury, the attention, the crashing reality that rules actually applied to her, it all hit at once, and she stumbled backward. She stormed off, spitting threats and muttering complaints, leaving behind a trail of dropped papers and disbelief. The line exhaled collectively. Laughter rippled. Whispers filled the air. I sagged against the conveyor belt, releasing a breath I hadn't even realized I'd been holding. But just as I thought the storm had passed, her voice erupted across the terminal again, high-pitched, shrill, impossible to ignore. She wasn't gone. Of course, she wasn't. "I demand to speak to your supervisor," she yelled, spinning dramatically. People paused mid-step. A man holding 2 coffees froze like he was witnessing a wildlife documentary. I tried to shrink into the floor. The original TSA agent approached again, clipboard in hand, expression calm, almost amused. "Ma'am," as I explained, "attempting to cut the line is a violation. You've received a warning. That's all." Her nostrils flared. She pointed again with righteous fury. "This is unacceptable. I'm calling everyone I know. My HOA meetings, airlines, social media." He didn't even blink. "You're welcome to do that. But until then, you will follow the procedure like everyone else. Your bag will be rescreened, and you will walk through the scanner again." Her jaw dropped. Her hands shook. For a moment, she looked like an animal cornered by reality itself. The terminal fell silent. Phones lifted like synchronized antennas. Then came poetic justice. She stepped into the scanner defiant, stiff, posturing, and the machine erupted. Beep, beep, beep. Her eyes went wide. The agent gestured calmly. Ma'am, step aside. You triggered the scanner. All items must be individually inspected. The thermos, the tote, the snacks, the crumpled receipts, the mysterious liquid she had denied having. Everything was taken out, tested, inspected, and logged. Every item multiplied her humiliation tenfold. By the time the last object cleared the belt, she looked destroyed, hair disheveled, face flushed, expression hollow. She had fought the system and ended up marching through the very process she tried to skip, except now it was public, thorough, and brutal. The TSA agent handed her the formal warning, locked eyes with her, and said, "This is the lesson. Rules apply to everyone regardless of status or attitude." Her lips trembled, her arms sagged, and finally quietly she slunk away. No dramatic finale, no proud exit, just the slow fate of someone realizing entitlement has limits. I let out another long breath. People around me shook their heads, whispered, and laughed. As I collected my belongings and walked toward my gate, one thought settled in my mind. Some lessons are loud, public, and unforgettable. Some people only learn the hard way. If you felt the tension in this story, hit like, because paying attention is the first step to justice. Subscribe to Karen's Hub for more real-life showdowns where everyday people push back. And tell me, how would you handle someone who believes the rules don't apply to them?